Hey y'all, let me tell you what type of day I had today. So the day must have been a full moon or something, because these kids was off the chain today, boy. They was running around the classroom, they was talking bad, and they was being disrespectful. And I'm like, you tell them something to do and they look at you like they looking right through your soul. I'm like, just staring at you. And don't even move either until you kind of get down on their level and like get right in their face and tell them, hey, I need you to do XYZ right now. And so me and the lead VPK teacher, we were talking, and we were saying we don't think it was a good idea for IDEA, which is the acronym for IDEA, to have implemented, and Larry needs to go back to wherever they came from, and whoever it was that was behind that, implementing that act, those two acts, they need to be evaluated. So we were saying that we don't think it was a good idea for atypical students to have been placed in a regular classroom setting of 20 VPK typical kids. And here is why. Because in order to be in VPK, you need to be ready, okay? And if you cannot go to the bathroom and wipe your own bottom, then you are not ready. If you cannot go to the bathroom and change your own clothes, you are not ready. Now, I get the idea of students who are atypical. If they are handicapped, they need that extra help. That's totally different. I'm talking about a child that has brain that has abnormalities, you know. And if you can't go to the bathroom, you send a child with abnormality to go to the bathroom, and they can't wipe their own bottom. That's an indication that they shouldn't be in a classroom with 20 kids, because technically I feel as though they need a smaller classroom setting that's maybe 1 to 5 students, and they just don't have that right. And like I said before, the people who implemented that, I believe they need to be evaluated, because how are you going to implement something like that? I mean, you can say, okay, we're going to include these kids, but that's not going to make typical students play with them. You could say, hey, I'm including them. Hey, I want you to play with Susie over here or whatever. That's not going to make them kids play with the students, the atypical students. That's not going to make them play with them. And I can't make them play with them. I can suggest and try to teach them, but that's not going to make them play with them. And not only that, a child with an atypical student with abnormalities, where you got to run behind them all day long because they'll pull every toy off the shelf. Now, how am I supposed to teach? They need students like that. They need a smaller classroom setting. I had one little girl, I had to literally run behind her during the whole time in the classroom. Luckily, I'm the teacher assistant, but even with an assistant don't want to run behind a child all day long. You get burnt out. And this little girl, she would dive on the floor, like take dives on the floor. And then you try to, you can't leave them on the floor. And then when you try to get them up, they like pull away from you, and you can't pull on them. I mean, they don't have this right. And it's no wonder so many teachers get tired and quit and get burnt out. And it was a little boy's birthday today, and his mom had brought mini cupcakes, and I was eating those mini cupcakes like I was drinking shots in a bar. And me and the lead VPK teacher, we were saying that they don't have this right, and they need to be evaluated. Somebody need to evaluate them, because how you going to implement stuff like that? How you going to implement a setting like that? Those atypical students need to be in a classroom setting, or maybe 1 to 5 students where they have one-on-one individualized help to get the help that they need. Not in a classroom of full 20 VPK students with typical students. Because we're already dealing with behaviorment problems coming from the typical students, on top of atypical students with abnormalities. Come on now, bruh. That's too much. So I have a little song here I want to sing. And it kind of goes like this. And then if these kids on our mind, eventually they'll drive us to drink. We're on the brink, but we'll think of something.